Michael Mosley is well trusted when it comes to handing out health advice, and many people are keen listeners when it comes to his advice. In one of his latest BBC podcast episodes, the Just One Thing author invited Professor Russell Foster on to talk about all things sleep. And with many of us still getting back to normal after the festive and New Year period, it's one people are listening to in a bid to get better sleep. The professor, who is a director of the Sleep and Circadian Neuroscience Institute at the University of Oxford, listed 5 things people should know to get better sleep. And it turns out that the all-important 8 hours of sleep isn't as important as it seems. As reported by Bristol Live, he said that sleep is immensely complicated, explaining that the states of consciousness and sleep involve a complete realignment of every neurotransmitter within the brain and an interaction between multiple brain structures. The circadian system, which essentially time-stamps now is the appropriate time to be awake. But that interacts with perhaps the most intuitive thing about sleep is the longer you've been awake, the greater the need for sleep, the greater the buildup of sleep pressure. One issue that many people face may actually not be a sleep issue but rather an issue with any stress and anxiety they may be feeling, which in turn will mess with our sleep/wake cycle. Michael said, "So there are 2 things going on when you are feeling sleepy. One is the buildup of adenine. It's been a while since I've slept. I'm feeling sleepy," but the other is your circadian clock, saying time to go to bed, and there is literally a clock, or at least a bunch of cells in your suprachiasmatic nucleus. To help people get good quality sleep, Professor Foster shared about 5 tips to help people get a better sleep. 5 tips to get better sleep. 1. Don't worry about getting 8 hours. Professor Foster said that whilst many of us get told we need 8 hours sleep, don't worry too much about this. Warning people not to obsess about the mythical 8 hours of sleep, he explains, it's an average, and National Seat Foundation that tells us that the perfectly healthy range is between 6 hours to 10. 5, maybe even 11, and so it's really finding what your sleep needs are. I mean, I've had people come up to me after public lectures and say, "I don't get 8 hours of sleep. Am I going to die?" And I would say, well, I can guarantee you're going to die, but it may have nothing to do with not getting the 8 hours. 2. Sleep on big decisions. Professor Foster said when you're asleep, your brain is still processing information from that day. He explained that an experiment gave groups a difficult cognitive task in which one tried to carry it out that afternoon and 20% got it correct. A second group performed the task the next day with no sleep and the same percentage completed it. A third group were given the task, slept for a night, and the next day 70% solved it. He said, so if you want to come up with these innovative solutions to complex problems, if you want to problem solve, then a night of sleep can enormously enhance your capacity to do that. Michael replied, so sleeping on it, which is basically what our grandparents taught us, really does have a basis in science. 3. What is your chronotype? Chronotype is your preference for being either a morning, an intermediate, or a late type of person. So if you're an early starter, you begin feeling tired early in the evening. Professor Foster said those in the middle are going to bed at around about 11 o'clock, or maybe a little bit earlier. And then the night owls, 25% of the population are going to sleep, certainly after midnight, closer to 2 o'clock. He explained it was age-related, with younger people wanting to get up later, saying, from about the age of 10, there's a sharp rise in wanting to go to bed later and later and later. Now this peaks in our late teens and early 20s. Then from those early 20s, there's a move to an earlier chronotype. So by the time we get into our late 50s and 60s, we're getting up and going to bed at about the time we did when we were 10, 11 and 12. Professor Foster added that somebody in their late teens and early 20s will want, on average, to go to bed about 2 hours later than somebody in the late 50s and early 60s. This means that asking a teenager to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning is like asking a 55-year-old to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, so it's a big effect. Join the Daily Record WhatsApp community. Get the latest news sent straight to your messages by joining our WhatsApp community today. You'll receive daily updates on breaking news as well as the top headlines across Scotland. No one will be able to see who is signed up and no one can send messages except the Daily Record team. All you have to do is click here if you're on mobile, select Join Community and you're in. If you're on a desktop, simply scan the QR code above with your phone and click Join Community. We also treat our community members to special offers, promotions, and adverts from us and our partners. If you don't like our community, you can check out anytime you like. To leave our community, click on the name at the top of your screen and choose Exit Group. If you're curious, you can read our privacy notice. 4. Start preparing for a good night when you wake up. The expert said that a great night's sleep starts from when you wake up, explaining it's not just the quality of sleep that matters but what we do when we're awake too. Professor Foster explained naps in the day of a short period, say 20 minutes, can be useful, but longer can harm the possibility of getting to sleep later. People should also avoid excessive caffeine consumption, stating he doesn't drink it after 2 p.m. He also said trying to relax and taking part in mindfulness can help, adding, "When I can go for a swim at the end of the day, I find that really just burns off all of that stress." Most people, of course, don't have a sleep problem. They have a stress or an anxiety thing. And so winding down at the end of the day is critically important and is often overlooked. 5. Don't have difficult conversations at the end of the day. The professor said that people should, if possible, avoid having difficult conversations when tired, stating in his opinion, it's a really important point and that in his household, they don't discuss family finances or anything stressful when lying in bed. Whilst this may be the only time some couples get to discuss important issues, the anxiety is too much for the professor. He explained, the other important point to make is that the tired brain is a very strange organ. There's some beautiful studies that have shown that the tired brain will remember negative experiences, but it'll forget the positive ones. So one's whole worldview is biased by a negative salience. And so I think one's got to be very careful about those difficult conversations. Once you're tired, you're also much more likely to have a loss of empathy, so you won't pick up the social signals in whoever you're talking to. You'll have greater levels of impulsivity, saying stupid and unreflective things, and you'll have greater levels of irritability. Don't miss the latest news from around Scotland and beyond. Sign up to our daily newsletter.